When you're staring at a bunch of 55-inch 4K panels, it's easy to feel torn between eye-popping brightness and the promise of a future-proof gaming experience. I've spent a good chunk of the last month swapping cables, streaming a couple of Netflix originals, and tinkering with a PlayStation 5 on a Sony X90L, just to see if the hype lives up to the price tag. If you're on the fence about whether this TV is the right fit for your living room, stick around. My goal here is to separate the real-world benefits from the marketing fluff, and help you decide if this is the screen that will actually improve your daily watching and gaming. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the core promise, a picture that feels alive. Sony's cognitive processor XR claims to analyze each frame and boost contrast, color, and motion. In practice, that translates into a surprisingly nuanced picture when you're watching a nature documentary or a drama with subtle lighting. Dark scenes retain detail without turning into a washed-out mess, while bright highlights pop without crushing mid-tones. I found the effect most noticeable on HDR content. Dolby Vision titles on Disney Plus really seemed to lift off the screen, with deep shadows that still showed texture. That's the kind of everyday improvement that matters more than a peak brightness number on a spec sheet. Now, the claim that this set is perfect for PlayStation 5 is worth dissecting. The X90L sports HDMI 2.1 on 2 ports, enabling 4K at 120Hz, variable refresh rate, VRR, and auto low latency mode, ALLM. When I hooked my PS5 up and launched Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart, the game ran at a buttery smooth 120 frames per second, and the TV automatically switched to low latency mode. The game menu's picture settings are centralized in Sony's game menu, which made tweaking brightness, HDR mode, and response time a one-click affair. For anyone who watches a lot of next-gen titles or plays fast shooters, those features are genuinely useful. They reduce input lag to a point that feels almost negligible, and the VRR kept framerate dips from turning into stutter. That said, the TV isn't a magic bullet for every gamer. If you're primarily a console player who sticks to 60 frames per second 4K titles, you'll still benefit from the higher peak brightness and the improved contrast, but you won't notice the 120Hz advantage. Also, the TV's built-in speakers, while decent for dialogue, don't deliver the kind of punch you get from a dedicated soundbar or a home theater system. So if you plan to rely solely on the TV's audio for immersive gaming sessions, you'll probably need to add external speakers sooner rather than later. From a smart TV perspective, Sony's Google TV layer feels fairly unintrusive. All the major streaming apps, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, are pre-installed, and the interface remembers what you've been watching, offering personalized recommendations that actually feel relevant. The voice remote works reliably for quick searches, and the integration with Google Assistant lets you control compatible smart home devices without leaving the TV screen. The biggest downside I noticed was occasional lag when jumping between apps. The interface isn't as snappy as some of the more minimalist platforms, but the delay is measured in seconds, not minutes, and rarely disrupts a binge-watching session. One of the less obvious aspects of owning a 55-inch TV is how it fits into the everyday layout of a room. The X90L stand is low profile, which helps keep the viewing angle comfortable when you're seated a few feet away. However, the back panel is fairly thick, so if you plan to mount it on the wall, you'll need a full-size Visa bracket rather than a slim profile mount. I also ran into a minor annoyance with the HDMI settings. The TV initially ignored my Xbox's power-on signal, but a quick tweak in the menu fixed it. These are the kinds of setup quirks that most reviewers gloss over, but they can be a hassle if you're not comfortable digging into the settings menu. Who should buy this set? If you're a homeowner or renter who wants a solid all-round 4K TV that delivers strong HDR performance, supports next-gen gaming features out of the box, and gives you a fairly robust smart TV experience, the X90L hits the sweet spot. It's especially appealing if you already own a PlayStation 5 or plan to upgrade soon, because the HDMI 2.1 ports mean you won't need to replace the TV again for at least a few years. Families that stream a lot of different content will appreciate the wide color gamut and the ability to handle both bright sports broadcasts and dark movie scenes without the picture looking flat. On the flip side, the TV isn't the best choice for a few specific scenarios. If you're a cinephile who demands the absolute highest peak brightness for a dedicated HDR projector experience, you might find the X90L's brightness respectable but not industry-leading. Likewise, if you're primarily a PC gamer who wants low input lag at sub-60 Hz refresh rates, a dedicated gaming monitor could outshine the TV's response times. And if you're